swap a verse, and I can play ball in real life. So when they making fun, it never work. They think they offended me. I'm dodging that energy. I know who my friends are now. You currently dead to me. This shit gon' last a century, and every time they mention me, increase my life expectancy. Maybe this my destiny. Loved and hated, then hated and loved. Never betrayed to be a thug, but know a couple who hold slugs. Ain't fighting Spider-Man, but everything I'm spitting venom. Had to look in the mirror and get my shit together, cause sometimes you think it's over, but it's only getting better. Yeah, good friends going with the wind, like Pac said. Legends never die, so we not dead. I'm a fresh white boy, you can call me a
Ramily. Welcome in on Ramsaholic post game. This is a Monday analysis. I did a live stream yesterday, needed a little break. It was a little over 3 hour stream. So let's get right into it, right? So offensive line. I will say the offensive line has been amazing this year. We've only allowed one sack. And yesterday against the 49ers, going into the game, I knew this would be a real big test. We looked amazing versus Seattle Seahawks. But when you go up against a team like the San Francisco 49ers, a lot of things change, right? You have Bosa, Armstead, Hargrave, who they just got from Philadelphia. Drake Jackson, who just had 3 sacks last week versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they still have Kinlaw, which I did not know until yesterday. So overall, this defensive line is a defensive line that is so good they only need to rush 4, right? So the pressure was not getting there until about 2 minutes left in the third quarter. This offensive line was amazing. You know, Steve Avella is looking like a Pro Bowl guard, one of the better guards in football already, and this was only his second game. Alaric Jackson, undrafted, looking phenomenal. Coleman Shelton, big-bodied center, looks twice the size of Brian Allen out there. Did great. And then you look at Joseph Noteboom, right? Amazing. And then gets hurt. When he gets hurt, Ingram comes in. Ingram was a guy that a lot of people thought would be the starter. I was one that always had Noteboom locked in at guard. And for good reason. He's athletic, he's big, he's better on the inside than the outside, obviously. And his injury really played a big part in that game. Not the deciding factor, but definitely a big role in the amount of pressure San Francisco started to allow. I don't need to talk about Rob Havenstein. He's just amazing. San Francisco, like I said, they usually rush 4. This game, they seen they were getting no pressure. So Steve Wilkes, the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, decides, I'm going to blitz my best player. So Fred Warner starts doing some disguised blitzes. Looks like he's going on the left. Then he scoops around, goes to the right, vice versa. Causing mayhem, right? Bringing the pressure. They had to. Dre Greenlaw. They would bring Ufanga like he was going to blitz, but Stafford already knows that. I think the NFL starting to catch on. When you see him move on the box, alert, watch that man. Kyren Williams, watch that man. That just tells you a lot. A team like San Francisco had to blitz to get pressure on us. This is amazing for our offensive line going forward. This was the best defense in football. I don't care what you say. The secondary is definitely not the best cornerback-wise, but the front 7 is just brutal. You have Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, and then the 4 defensive linemen that I mentioned. So for these offensive linemen on the Rams to do what they did, it's just incredible. I love it personally because I was big on this offensive line being retooled. I like the way it looked. It's a lot of big, heavier guys with some athleticism as well. And they had chemistry. The chemistry is just showing. They know where the other guy's blocking. They know how to help on a double team. They always had Bosa locked up. He didn't do anything all game. Granted, maybe because he just signed that contract. He hasn't been in training camp as much. He was on the sideline. He looked gassed. But point of the matter is, this is the highest paid defensive player in football, and he was just on the ground a lot. Whether he was going to a Larry Jackson side, Havenstein side, did not matter. The Rams' offensive line was bringing it, and Stafford had a clean pocket, which is why Stafford was able to do what he did this game. Um, Puka, right? Puka looked incredible. Again, he set some records yesterday. Most receptions for a rookie in their first two games. Any round this time, right? Like, we don't need to say third round or later. Any round. First round, second round. Any rookie in the NFL has never done what Puka did. He had 25 catches in two games already. If you play fantasy football, he's actually the second ranked fantasy football player in full PPR right now. Amazing stuff, right? Who expected that? Nobody. He's second right now in yards, right behind Justin Jefferson. The man's just going off. He's getting the targets, and he's making the most of them. He's even getting wide receiver reverses. Uh, it's just amazing what he did. 15 catches, 147 yards, 4 yards rushing. That's coming off a performance where he had 10 catches, 119 yards. He's averaging 9.8 yards per catch. He had a long of 20 yards. And he's blocking, right? Like, he's sealing the edge. He's doing what needs to be done to help the running game get going, to help his quarterback get more time in the pocket. I mean, with Puka, we found a diamond in the rough, per se. He looked good in the combine, actually, but he only went to one day, and he didn't show up to the second day, so maybe he felt confident in what he can do, and the fact that he fell to the fifth round really just plays a part of his injury history at BYU. The Rams obviously have kept players relatively healthy outside of last year, so we took a chance on him. And after every hit, you can see like Puka's he's going down, staying down for a little bit, and then he's getting up. His ribs are hurting, an oblique injury, but he's playing through it. The kid's tough as nails. He really embodies a Ram player, and he was crying pregame like he loves this game. Made me want to cry. Puka Nacua, we got ourselves a dog, right? Now you look at Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams is another guy. I'll bring it up quickly if you play fantasy football. Another Rams player who's second at their position. He's second right now. He leads all running backs in total touchdowns with 4. So I think what we just figured out is why Cam Akers is on the trade block, why Cam Akers is probably not going to be a Ram for much longer. I'll be the first to admit I was wrong. I was someone big on Cam Akers. I thought 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns was well within range because Sean McVay in June said he was going to be the center point of this offense. Well, Sean McVay lied, and Kyren Williams took the most of his opportunities. The man's just balling. Now, if you think that this was fluky, he did this against San Francisco, right? So there's nothing fluky about that. He's fast. He's tough. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. And he played 90+% of the snaps yesterday with only Ronnie Rivers getting the other touches at running back. Jonathan Taylor is a rumor to the Los Angeles Rams, but I don't think the Rams are going to go wasting picks on a running back after Todd Gurley. I don't think the Rams are going to go spending crazy amounts of money on running back after Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was a beast, but the injuries hit. Jonathan Taylor dealt with an injury last year, was actually recovering from that injury this year in OTAs. So it's really risky when you have a Kyren Williams. Now, I will say, I think that the Rams do need another running back if Zach Evans is not coming along as they expected. Because Ronnie Rivers is a small guy as well. Kyren Williams is a small guy. But there is running backs out there that are veterans like Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt. I think those guys are guys that you need to look at because we cannot kill Kyren Williams. We cannot give him all of these touches, expect him to be great in run blocking like he's been. We need to be smart here. We need to have running back depth. If Cam Akers isn't what McVay wants, because he's not the best blocker, he starts slow, he wants someone that can start fast, finish fast, then I understand that's our coach, and I respect where he's coming from. So let's look at those veteran running backs in free agency on a cheap contract. Let's go out and get Brian Burns because Carolina plays tonight against the Saints. They will go 0-2. They're a very young team. Let Brian Burns play for a team that can contend because I thought we would be a team that would just compete 10-7. But I think at 10-7, we can still contend now. I think we're the fourth best team in the NFC behind the 49ers, Cowboys, and Eagles. Everyone's saying that we beat a bad Seattle team. They just beat Detroit, who a lot of people had as one of the favorites in the NFC, so I don't want to hear that excuse. And they scored well over 30 points on them and beat them in overtime in Detroit. So let Brian Burns come to LA. He's young. He fits this youth movement, the third youngest roster in football, a lot of rookies that are talented. Brian Burns gives us what we need, an edge. Edge has been an issue for us this whole season so far. It's probably one of our weak spots outside of Darion Kendrick. And Kobe Durant yesterday did not play up to par as well. But I'll get into that more later. Let's get this edge position settled. I love Byron Young and what he's doing. He looked fast off the ball yesterday. He still needs to get adjusted to the NFL game speed and really controlling his own speed. He overruns a lot, okay? Michael Hoyt, I love him out there. He's very good as a linebacker, hybrid linebacker. But when you got an edge guy in today's NFL, you need a guy that could contain that edge, right? Can't let people get outside. Yesterday, Christian McCaffrey ran up the A, B, C gaps, right? He was getting stopped. Wasn't really doing much outside of that one touchdown run he had, the first score of the game. But he was fighting for those yards. We have a lot of big bodies on our interior defensive line, so we could stop the inside, and we have good linebacker play. But the edge, McCaffrey's big run of the game was outside. Deebo Samuel's big runs outside, right? Like these wide receiver reverses, these outside tosses. We need a solid edge guy to stop that. And then we need an edge guy to get pressure on the quarterback. We got barely any pressure yesterday. Aaron Donald was being triple teamed, and we did not get pressure. If that does not sound like an issue to you, then I don't know what does. If a man has 3 offensive linemen on him, granted, most of the time that's when they had 2 tight ends out there as well. But if he has 3 offensive linemen blocking him, someone better be getting a Brock Purdy. Aaron Donald did almost get what would have looked like a strip sack fumble on Brock Purdy when he threw it to Brandon Ayuk on a 3rd down. The play that Ayuk got hurt, went to the sideline to look at his shoulder in the medical tent. That is just one pressure, right? Byron Young got through. Quentin Lake had a nice blitz that got through that made Purdy throw it out quick. But we need consistency, right? It can't just be a few plays. Brock Purdy under pressure is horrible. And I'm not going to lie to you, he did not impress me. It was his first game. He did not throw for a touchdown in his NFL career. So kudos to the Rams for not allowing that. But the guy was throwing a lot of screens, and his running backs in the run game were really getting going for them, because they were hitting the edge. Set the edge. The Rams have a team right now that can really make a nice playoff run. All right? Brian Burns is perfect. Carolina doesn't want to pay him. I'm not even fully sure he wants to be a Carolina Panther for much longer. It seems like they're going to have a long rebuild coming up, which is fine. They have a good young quarterback in Young. Let us get Brian Burns. I don't want Chase Young. injury prone, hasn't looked the same since his rookie season. I want Brian Burns, an elite premier edge rusher. Matthew Stafford, the guy's doing everything for us. He's the one leading this young team on offense. His interception, first one off Kyren Williams' hands, not his fault. But I'm not going to put much blame on Kyren Williams. He played amazing, right? So Stafford completed 62% of his passes for 307 yards. Again, second game this year, over 300 yards. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Second interception was on Van Jefferson. Still in a ball that maybe shouldn't have been thrown right into 2 defenders. But we need Van Jefferson to step up. He was the third wide receiver in snaps yesterday behind Tutu and Paku. And Ben Skoranek was actually getting involved a lot more yesterday. He looked good. So Van Jefferson seeming like a weak leak right now when Cooper Kupp is back to be the guy that goes to the bench. I see no way Puka goes to the bench. I always told everyone he would be the perfect wide receiver too for Cooper Kupp, and that's coming to fruition. I think it's going to be perfect because those two guys can help each other not get killed with these targets, because these targets are great and everything, but over time it can lead to injuries, right? And we need to keep both those guys upright. So if we give both guys 10 to 12 targets instead of 20 targets for one, I think that plays a big part in both those guys moving forward, because I'm excited to see this duo, and I strongly believe this has the potential to be the best duo in football at the wide receiver position, and trio as well if we could throw in Tutu Atwell the way he's been playing. And that's big coming from me because I'm someone that was not big on Tutu Atwell when we drafted him and then the last 2 years. But these last 2 games, he's shown a lot. He's making tough catches. He's blocking. He's doing what the team asks. So I'm happy with that. Cornerbacks, Darion Kendrick is getting picked on. He's a physical cornerback, but his coverage skills definitely lack. So I think we definitely need to work on that. With him, Trey Tomlinson, I feel, needs to be getting more snaps. I don't know what's going on in practices. I don't know if the coaching staff feels that he's not ready yet or if they're just slow playing this to let him out later. But we definitely need a cornerback on the outside that can play better than that. Akilo Weatherspoon, no complaints there. He's been playing very well for us. You don't hear his name getting called often, which is a good thing because he's keeping his man contained. And then Kobe Durant, rough game for him. He allowed 4 catches on 6 targets for 75 yards. Big one to Jawan Jennings, where Jawan Jennings just jumped right over him for a first down. I am surprised. I had high hopes for Kobe Durant, and I still do. I think this 49ers team is definitely a team that doesn't play vertically like most teams do. They play a lot of underneath stuff, which opens up deep passes down the road. As you can see with Brock Purdy missing on 3 deep plays. He overthrew 3 wide receivers deep because with the 49ers, you don't expect it. So when they do it, cornerbacks are caught off guard. It's not a typical wide receiver system. It's definitely different, which is why I feel like Deebo Samuel is not one of the best wide receivers in football. He's a good running back, in my opinion, though. So the Rams lose this one 30-23. They were up 17-10 with about a minute 40 seconds left until the half, and then the 49ers go right down the field with no timeouts. Go for it on a 4th and 1 at their 1, or it was a 3rd and 1, whatever. There was only 1 second left, so it was the last play of the half. And instead of kicking the field goal, they QB sneaked it with Brock Purdy, tied it at 17. I was looking forward to going into the half with the lead. We all know McVay has a great record when he goes into the half with the lead. But, I mean, the 49ers just had boom plays all day on us, which is not something you can allow. You need to get stops. In the second half, we definitely did better with that. We made stops when we had to. Unfortunately, Stafford had those 2 interceptions. We were driving every time we had the ball. The Rams were doing great things. They had some penalties, some holdings that put them in some long yardage situations. Then there was a fumble by Deebo Samuel, Michael Hoytchen on the tackle, and surprisingly, I mean, the 49ers ended up punting it because they couldn't convert on the third down 2 plays later, but I'm surprised because it was a clear fumble by Deebo Samuel. If we get that ball, we're already like within the red zone. So I was just super surprised. There was no challenge there from McVay. But overall, I'm happy with the way the Rams played. They showed heart. I do think they should have won this game. We had so many opportunities, and to beat a team that celebrates regular season wins versus us, it would have been nice to finally end that. I think the next time we play them in Levi Stadium, we're going to beat them with Cooper Kupp back. I'm sure the film is going to show these guys a lot of things we missed on, a lot of failed opportunities. But I'm happy at 1-1. We're going into Cincinnati on Monday Night Football next week. This was a game that I thought preseason looked like a hard game to win, but the Bengals are 0-2. Joe Burrow's dealing with the calf strain. But I'll get more on that in my game preview this week. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. As always, make sure to show support, subscribe, like, share, leave a comment. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. I am your boy Shay, Ramsaholic, and I'm out.
It's 4 a.m. in New Bedford, I'm getting my shit together. City just ain't safe, these kids down for whatever. Letting the lead fly, they flocking just like a feather. I couldn't stay there forever, career not getting better. I ain't no rap, but can't imagine not getting cheddar. They posting pics in their base models, not even leather. It's not even leather. It's 4 a.m. White.